videotaping this as well. So when back there, behave yourself because you're going to be on the speaker. Ken, thank you.
Can you see my head?
Thank you very much, President. Good afternoon.
Louder.
For a number of times during past years, I've been asked to present Rotary's fight against polio at the fireside chats to bring new members up to speed on an important aspect of Rotary's program. I was especially happy to do that. Most of you do not know about the frightful scare that those of my age and older had during the 1940s and the 1950s. So many children were becoming paralyzed, and some were dying. By 1952, over 58,000 had contacted the disease, and over 3,000 had died. Panic swept the nation because no one knew what was causing. I remember one summer when public swimming pools were closed, movie theaters were closed, meetings were canceled, children were kept home from schools and church. And I will never forget where I was standing in 1953 when I saw the ambulance go up the road past our farm. And I knew that my beautiful 6-year-old cousin, Carol, was in there. And then the news came from the Elizabethtown Crippled Children's Hospital. She had infantile paralysis, polio. We had no idea how or why she got it, and we didn't. Unlike many others, after a horrible siege, many years in and out of hospitals, my cousin survived. Walks today with metal arm and leg braces and 2 canes. She drives her own car with a designed hand-controlled automobile. In 1957, I was a human guinea pig for medical research in the University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Every Wednesday evening, after my medical experiments had concluded for the day, I would take a movie projector to the polio ward as a volunteer, showing movies for their entertainment. I will never forget a teenage girl, slightly younger than I, who was lying there in an iron lung. She could not breathe on her own. In fact, she could not move any part of her body except her eyeballs. All her muscles, except the little ones that control our eyeballs, were paralyzed, and she had to lay there inside that ugly contraption, you can see up here on the wall, that contraption of iron and glass, so the machine could breathe for her. I would position her mirror to enable her to see the movie screen. Every day I was living through some very uncomfortable medical experiments, but I couldn't believe how lucky I was that I was not in that iron lung. And if any of you ever think you have it rough, that you have problems, just remember how lucky you are not to be lying in an iron lung, only able to move your eyeballs. I'll never forget that girl. Polio is a very sobering, very important, and significant thing to me. We can never be thankful enough for good health, for ourselves and for our children. I was in the hot room experiment one day when I heard the radio announcement from Ann Arbor, Michigan, from the very hospital in which I was a patient at that moment, which I had been living there for half a year as a guinea pig. I heard Dr. Jonas Salk announce that he had discovered a vaccine to protect children from getting polio. My wife and I attended the Rotary International Convention in Chicago in 2005, celebrating 100 years of Rotary. I was especially taken by one exhibit, an iron lung. By the time our daughters were born in the early 1960s, that Salk vaccine and the Sabine oral vaccine was being used throughout the United States. And by 1962, the number of new cases had dropped to 910. And by 1979, there were no more new cases of polio in the United States. In 1985, Rotary International announced that they were pledging $120 million to immunize children in the developing world. Within 3 years, Rotarians had contributed $220 million. Our district alone has contributed over $2 million toward that project. Progress was so great that the World Health Organization and UNICEF came on board, resolving to help eradicate the disease which had paralyzed and killed children for over 5,000 years. Then Bill Gates gave a great boost to the program by contributing hundreds of millions of dollars to the Rotary, to that Rotary-initiated public health initiative, the greatest public health initiative in all history. Rotary has already contributed over $800 million to the goal of eradicating polio from the face of the earth. I earned my first Paul Harris by contributing to that first polio program. The Western Pacific became polio-free in 2000. In 2002, Europe achieved that status. Do you read the Rotarian magazine that comes to your home every month? The June 2001 issue describes how 100,000 Rotarians in India joined the government of India in immunizing more than 165 million children in one day. It was hailed as the greatest public health event ever, anywhere in the world. And by 2002, new cases in India had dropped to 264, and then they disappeared. That's part of that immunization program in India. More than 1 million men and women in Rotary have ridden camels, helicopters, trucks, bicycles, dugout canoes in order to immunize over 2 billion children in 122 countries. What success we have achieved. We have actually succeeded in 99.9% of our goal. Polio will be the second disease following smallpox to be eradicated from our planet. Eradicating polio saves not only lives and suffering, it also saves $1.5 billion per year in health costs. But hold it, we're not quite there yet. There are still new cases still occurring in 3 countries, primarily Pakistan and Afghanistan, because radical conservatives will not allow immunization in some areas. Nigeria had been free for 2 years, and then in 2016, 2 cases flared up in the northeastern part of Nigeria, primarily because of Boko Haram and the conservatives who have not allowed immunization to occur. But health officials are putting on a great push at some personal danger, not only in Nigeria, but in neighboring countries of Chad, Cameroon, Niger, and Central African Republic. But we are getting close to squashing polio forever. Thanks to Rotary's leadership, joined by the World Health Organization, by UNICEF, by the Gates Foundation, victory is on the horizon. That's where you come in. Now relax. I'm not going to ask you for $1 million, not even 500. No, you don't need to go to Africa or Asia. You don't need to leave your comfortable home and loving family, or take vacation time to travel to third world countries, as Dr. Joe Redman and some others from our club have done. But every member in our district has been challenged to give at least $100 per year to the Rotary Foundation. Most of the money for my first Paul Harris award went to the Polio Fund. And in addition to my Paul Harris plus 5, I still give $25 per quarter, $8 per month, 27 cents per day, $100 per year to help save a child from this terrible disease. And I hope that you will too. I don't want any parent anywhere in the world to have to see their child as we saw my little cousin. I cannot cure a child of polio. You cannot cure a child of polio. I cannot eradicate polio, and you cannot eradicate polio. Our government cannot eradicate polio, and neither can your or my church. But working together with over 1 million Rotarians around the world, we can eradicate polio. You can be proud to be in the family of Rotary and part of this great endeavor. Thank you. Have a great week and support Polio Plus. If you have any questions, I have a couple of other slides here. How would you like to be a nurse in that room?
I was gonna say, when I was reading a Rotary magazine, it was 2 years ago, we were talking about Dr. Salk, when he found that vaccine. He could have potentially been one of the richest people in the world had he decided to monetize it. So instead he gave it to the people because of the fact that this was going on. So I wanted to throw that out, that how much somebody that could literally have just written himself a check for billions of dollars back then, he gave it to the people because he knew
Thank
what
you.
he was doing it for. So I want to highlight that and they worked that.
Thank you for adding that, yeah.
Has the non-immunization movement resulted in polio cases
Yes,
in
yes.
industrialized countries?
No, because that has been taken care of. The only new cases we have are Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. And that's due to
Religious
objection. Yes. Yes?
Back in the 40s, Elizabethtown Rotary Club, Christmas morning, which I got woke up for, went to the Crippled Children's Hospital and gave out Christmas gifts. Abner Risser, I think was his name, was Santa Claus. It's something you'll never forget, seeing those kids in those animals. It's unbelievable.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have mentioned that, you know, we don't have to go to these countries, we don't have to give hundreds of dollars. But can you just share some of the risks that some of the local women that are immunizing are taking?
Well, they're risking from the conservatives who say you're trying to poison my children. The risks are damage to their physical health and death. Not only women, but the men who are doing that as well. Here are some of the survivors. This happens in India. He's being outfitted for yes, Ed.
No, I think, and I'm newer, but we had a speaker here a couple weeks ago. Essentially, the virus lives in fecal matter, so you see it in non-industrialized countries where there's no sewage or the sewage is left to fester, and so there it can spring up. But essentially, it attacks the nervous system. That not the virus does, it settles in the nervous system.
The nervous system, yes, as
And
far
that's
as I
what
understand.
paralyzes all the muscle.
But I remember the 40s and 50s, we had just no idea what was causing it. People were really panicked. What do I do to help my children? I kept them home from school, the swimming pools were closed, theaters were closed. Anybody else? Yes?
Ken, I believe the one picture of them immunizing a child also had his hand up or pinky, and I think they put a little purple mark on their pinky so they know that they've been immunized. Is that right?
Yeah, but in some countries, yes.
Okay.
To make sure they knew.
So you may hear that purple pinky from time to time. That's what it.
Now, some people got shots, others, for the babies, they would pinch their mouth like this to get the drop. You can go on the internet, as Brenda got some of these pictures off the internet, you can see a lot of going on. Yes, Dave?
I was just remembering that one year, probably 7 or 8 years ago now, I don't know, we had T-shirts made up that had the pinky identifying and this was at the fairgrounds. And we had a kind of a competition going to see which shift could, get the most money given. And it was a
Joe
good time.
Redmond did that.
That's, yes.
Joe, do you want to expound on that? What you got us to do?
No, we just raising money for polio.
Right. Okay, that's enough.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you. And guess what you get? You get this pen,
Stylus.
and it has this protector to keep you from poking yourself. Thank you for all the good work. Rotarians, have a great week.